If you are a stay-at-home parent, kind of toying with the idea of teaching online for the first time, you probably want to know exactly how it works so you know what you're getting yourself into. And while every platform is going to look a little different, the gist of it is the same. So today we are covering the gist of what online teaching looks like so you don't go into your first class completely blindsided. Hey, I'm Allison from OnlineTeacherAllison.com, where stay-at-home parents learn how to teach online so they can earn an income from home. So for the sake of this video, we are going to talk about online teaching platforms that provide the lessons for you. And these are mostly online ESL platforms, English as a second language. So you are teaching learners how to speak English. So once you've gotten hired on your platform and you've picked it, if you're having trouble, head to OnlineTeacherAllison.com/platform, where I have a free download that'll help match you to the best online teaching platform for you so you can get started. So once you've gotten hired on the platform of your choice, it's time to start opening slots for your online teaching classes. And what slots you open up are going to depend on, on kind of the country that your platform caters to. So for example, I just opened up slots for the summer with VIP Kid, and most of their clientele is in China, so mine look like this. You can see it's during the morning hours, and I am not feeling like waking up before 5 a.m. And I don't have a very large window to work anymore because my son doesn't sleep as much. So these are my summer hours that I'm going to try this summer. But if that doesn't work for you and you're working on a different platform, your slots are going to look different. So once a student books a class with you, you're going to be assigned a lesson to teach them. And the lesson that you're assigned just depends on where they are in this group of lessons, in their unit and their level. So for example, here's an old VIP Kid one. This was, you can see it was the level 1 class. You can see the level and the lesson next to it within level 1. And that was the class I taught. And before class, I am able to go in there and look exactly at the PowerPoint slide. I would show you, except it's not my content, it's not my property. It's kind of like intellectual thing, you know? So I could go in and I could look at the teacher notes, how they wanted me to teach it, and I could decide what props I wanted, and I could decide my pacing and all that stuff. I knew what was coming. And the levels obviously progress as you work through it. And in my experience, students never like repeated levels, even if they needed it. So as I got comfortable with students and I knew who was doing really well in their level and who kind of needed the extra support, I was able to build that into my lessons. So you might be thinking, okay, so level 1, you're teaching the bare basics. How do you communicate? Well, you learn and you get really good at it. So a lot of things you're doing, it's called TPR. It's your body movements, your hand movements. So if I'm speaking, especially in the very beginning, I'm putting my finger to my lips while I say what I want to say. So if I'm teaching the word pen, I'm probably going to have a prop with me. I'm going to say pen. And then when it's their turn, I'm going to let them know. I'm going to cut my ear and keep holding it up for them to say pen. Another way I like to share the speaking is using my microphone. That was kind of like a step back from all of that because it's just a little more vague, but everyone knows what a microphone is, even if they don't know the word. So what you're doing is you're speaking at the level of your student. They're not going to know every word, and that's okay. You're really working within the lesson and modeling with them. So for example, when you say hello at the beginning of class, that's not in the lesson, but it's something they do with every teacher, especially every new one to them. So they learn how to do it. And your hello is going to look something like this. Hello. You know, waving hello, so they kind of know. I'm Teacher Allison. Some people mimic like a name tag. I never did that. I felt like it was kind of vague. You could hold up a name tag if you wanted to do that. What's your name? And then you'd cup. And a lot of times if they're brand spanking new, they don't know what you're asking. And hopefully the name that is provided to you in the system is their name. It's not always. So you would ask, I'm Elsa. I had a lot of Elsas. That wasn't their Chinese name. It was just their American name that they used. So another thing I did, if they weren't getting it, was I would have, you know, a pretend introduction. Hi, I'm Teacher Allison. What's your name? And then he would say, I'm Dino. So we would practice doing what they're doing. So really, it does seem really scary to think, how am I going to communicate with the student? I don't even know any of their language. Like in Chinese, I can say ni hao, hello. I can't say anything else. So you really don't need to speak their language. You do learn how to manage. And if they're just not getting it, it's okay. Just skip over it and move on. They will get it eventually. So once you're in your platform, you've opened up slots, you've had a class booked, and you've kind of looked at what you're teaching that day with that student, and you're in the class, what you want to do next is keep getting classes, right? And you're just going to rinse and repeat. You're not going to teach the same lesson for your next student. The odds of that are so astronomically small. I have had days where I taught the same lesson for the bulk of my days, but for the bulk of that morning, but the odds of that are so slim, especially in the beginning when, you know, students are coming and going, trying to see if you're a good match. So you want to keep opening up slots, and you want to keep bringing your A game and doing the best you can, especially in the beginning, because any poor feedback you get in the beginning is going to hurt a lot harder when you don't have all of this great positive feedback to kind of buffer it. So once you finish a class, as an online teacher, you are going to get paid. It is not going to be instantaneous. So with VIP Kid, payment was processed at, I'm trying to remember if it was midnight Beijing time or like 8 o'clock Beijing time. Regardless, there was a certain time that it was processed, and I can kind of see as my classes came in as I got paid for them. Different platforms process different times. I know Cambly takes a couple days, so it really depends on where you're teaching, and you just got to keep an eye on it to make sure that you're getting paid what you're supposed to get paid. I have never had a problem with not getting paid for a class I completed, but I have heard of others having trouble, so you just want to keep an eye on it. So your payday really depends on where it's going. Some platforms pay you through PayPal, some will go through your bank, some will, you know, it just really depends. So for me, for VIP Kid, it direct deposited into my bank. And then for me on Cambly, it went into PayPal, and then I would transfer it to my bank from there. So if you are working on an online platform that provides lessons for you, you really don't have to do anything else other than market yourself. And when you're marketing yourself, you're not like going out to like the internet and marketing yourself that way, because the platform is bringing in the students for you. You do that if you were independent and teaching outside of a platform. So how do you market yourself on the platform? Well, you kind of make yourself stand out by having a great profile picture. I talked about that here. Having a good intro video. I talk about that here as well. And really just doing the best you can in your lessons, because word of mouth is important. As you get yourself established, you're going to have students from family friends, and they're going to say, hey, I heard about you from Johnny. He said you're a great teacher. And so that's why I booked a class with you. At the end of some classes, depending on your platform, you might have to write feedback on how the class went. VIP Kid is one of them. Cambly is not. So it just depends on where you're teaching. And you want to make sure you do a good job on that feedback too, because, well, not every parent reads it, and I wish they would. The ones that do will really appreciate your honesty and letting them know where their student's at. So in the feedback, I always get, you know, that sandwich method of like criticism. You're not really criticizing, but you're saying what they did great, what they can practice on, and another positive, another thing they did great. And so it's not criticism. It's just constructive feedback. I was going to say constructive criticism. It's constructive feedback on how they can improve. There's a weird car outside. And sometimes instead of like something they could practice, I talked about behavior in there too. Because these parents are paying a lot of money for classes. If you ever look at how much money the families are paying for classes, they're paying a pretty penny. So I always kind of, if behavior was an issue, I included that in feedback, because as a parent, I would want to know. And I said it kindly and gracefully. I didn't like go off, because that's not professional. But I would want to know as a parent. And I didn't beat it over the head about it. I didn't just keep saying it and saying it and saying it. I said it and I moved on. And then maybe a month later, if it needed to be said again, I'd say it and move on. So while it seems really daunting, teaching online is easy at its core. I want you to think about 2020 and how online classes looked there. Students logged in via Zoom, usually. So did the teacher, and the teacher taught their lesson. And then the students went and did their work. That's how online teaching works, especially on a platform. They're going to log into the platform. It's not going to usually be Zoom or Google or Microsoft or anything like that. It's usually through their platform. And the lesson auto-populates, and you're going to teach the lesson. You're going to have a great lesson with the student. You're going to market yourself well throughout the lesson. And hopefully the student's going to come back, because at the end of class, whether in person or in your feedback, you're going to invite them again. Hey, I really enjoyed having Gabe in my class. I can't wait to see him again. Keep an eye on my schedule, or hey, my schedule's open. See if you can't find a spot that fits in your schedule. So you're going to kind of welcome them back that way. Thanks for taking class with me today. I can't wait to see you next time. It's just really simple. Don't put pressure on them. They're kids. They're probably not scheduling it anyways, unless it's adults. For me, it's kids, so I always default that way. So you're going to invite them back. It's really easy. It really does seem daunting, but I want you to think about 2020. And it's not so negative in the fact that we had the pandemic looming over us and we were all forced into online learning and nobody could go anywhere. It's a lot more fun. If you've heard the term edutainment, that's what it is. It's education and entertainment sandwiched together. And it can get a really bad rap. But for me, I like it. Because they're kids and they should be allowed to be kids, and these online classes are extra, so why can't we be entertaining? That's my philosophy on it. Why can't I be entertaining? Why can't I make this extra learning fun? And that's what I always strived for in my classes. I didn't care if it had a bad rap. It was working for me, and it was what I felt good bringing to my classes. I think about my son. He's 4. And he could theoretically be taking online classes right now, and I would not be picking a teacher that, personally, that just kind of droned and didn't look happy to be there and was just there for the cash. I'm going to pick a teacher that truly seemed like she enjoyed, or he enjoyed, their time with my son, and he enjoyed the time with them too. So I want you to think about that, whether you are a stay-at-home parent now or you were in the past, or you're taking care of elderly family members. I've heard of all of this in the last couple of weeks, and I am loving having the feedback from you. How would you want your family member to take those online classes? What teacher would you want for them? And can you be that teacher? Are you that teacher? You're not always. If my son needs someone super, super hyper, that's not usually me. I can fake it for a class or two, but then I am wiped. So you're going to try to find the best match, okay? So think about 2020, but fun. I know that's really hard to think of because that was an awful year for so many people, including me. But it's 2020, but make it fun. So I want you to spend some time brainstorming that. How can you make online teaching fun? And you're going to bring that to your first online classes. And if you need help, don't forget to sign up for my live training where I do help you get hired. onlineteacherallison.com/get hired. Currently, there's a wait list only because it's not open right now. But if you're on the wait list, you'll be the first to know when it is. I hope you are having the greatest week ever. I have a new video every week, but while you're waiting, check out my online teaching application secrets, a video that will help you get hired and get the best start possible as an online teacher. Thanks again for subscribing, and I will see you next week. Chat soon.